Homeowners, there is a massive difference between having wealth on paper and having liquidity in the bank. And right now, there are millions of homeowners out there sitting in luxury properties, and they have a lot of equity, but it's phantom equity. Because if you have a house that is worth $2 million, but it takes $150,000 over the next 24 months to keep that valuation, you're not gaining any wealth, you're losing it. Because your wealth is trapped inside your walls and it's slowly being eroded away by rising carrying costs, deferred maintenance, and shifting market dynamics. So let's take a look at the hard math of equity extraction and why it could be the worst financial decision you make this decade. Every single homeowner has carrying costs. So whether you are an owner-occupied homeowner, you want to be in your house, maybe you don't want to be in your house and you're thinking about selling it, or perhaps you're a seller who lives in your house, clearly wants the house gone, or it's vacant, which means you even more want the house gone. Maybe it's your second home here in Scottsdale or Paradise Valley or Arcadia. You have carrying costs. You have utilities, insurance, property taxes, and in some situations, an HOA. So let's talk about the utilities first. Whether you are living in the house or it's vacant, you can't leave any house with the air conditioning off, okay? Let's just start there. But once you get into these multi-million-dollar homes, because they are 5,000 to 10,000 square feet or even bigger, not turning the air conditioning on obviously creates a lot of problems. Not only is it stress on the air conditioning units, because I know that you have probably 5 when you have a 10,000 square foot house, but you also have drywall cracks and the custom cabinetry warps. Mold might start to grow. There are so many issues that can arise. And the reason why sellers turn these off is because the air conditioning bill during the summer is $600 to $1,000. And that's totally normal and that's totally average. So it's very important that you understand as a seller who's trying to get rid of their house that you can't leave a vacant house with the air conditioning turned off. So let's move on to insurance. A standard insurance coverage policy is not going to cut it. When a house has been sitting vacant for 30 to 60 days, the homeowner, seller, now must switch their insurance from standard to vacant. And this is double or sometimes triple the cost because the house has to have a different insurance in case a pipe bursts, for example. There's going to be probably a little bit more damage because even though your real estate agent should be checking on the house regularly, most of them don't. And if you're not in town, then you're definitely not checking on it. So the house has a lot more potential to break and fall apart without being noticed, which is why your insurance ends up costing you more. Moving on to property taxes. While property taxes in Maricopa County are far less than places like Texas and California, you still have to pay a premium for owning a multi-million-dollar house. So when you take the property taxes, and if you're in an HOA, you couple those two together, I mean, you're talking about easily $1,000 a month on property taxes and HOA fees. Sellers always tell me, I'm not in a rush, I want to get my price. Well, not selling your house out of pride and out of ego is just costing you money because every single day the house is on the market as active, you are paying to keep the house alive, if you will. So let's do the real-time math for a multi-million-dollar house. Even if your mortgage is paid off, the bills that you have every single day are adding up. So you have a premium on your insurance, you possibly have HOA dues, you obviously have to keep the house set at a decent air conditioning temperature to ensure that buyers willingly stay and want to stay because we want them to love your house. So that's your $600 to $1,000 a month. And then you have your property taxes that go in that. So we're talking $2,500 to $4,000. And by the time you get done negotiating or you say no to that first buyer and you hope to sell it for your number down the road, you just wasted like almost double. So when you add up the taxes, insurance, HOA, and utility bills, you're looking at about $2,500 to $4,000 a month. So if you end up fighting with a buyer over $10,000 that you could give them, only for the buyer to cancel, and then you have to hang on to the house for 4 more months, that's possibly $12,000 more that you're spending on carrying costs instead of just giving the buyer $10,000 to close. So this is what I'm saying when we have carrying costs. They add up quickly, and especially in a luxury house, they add up fast. Another piece of a carrying cost is the maintenance debt. Every single house requires maintenance. Whether you live in it or you don't, things break, and people are always very surprised when there are big issues in a vacant house. Well, no one's there to notice it when it starts out as a small issue. And this is what I want to talk about right now, which is I'm going to give you two examples. The first is going to be something that could be a roof issue that starts out small. It's a quick tile, like a roof tile change, right? So maybe it's like $100 or $150 to change out the tile on the roof. So if you're a homeowner and you notice that a slipped tile or a cracked tile's on the roof and you think, oh, it's no big deal, it doesn't rain here anyway. Well, what you might not know is that the underlayment is actually what protects the roof from the rain. So all of a sudden, the sun is beaming down and on the exposed underlayment, and now we have dry rot, it's cracked, it's dried out, right? The underlayment is now shot. So instead of just fixing the tile for $100 or $200, whatever it is, now you have to do a full repair of that part of the roof for the underlayment, which is so much more work and so much more expensive. Another great example is for an AC unit here in Phoenix, because what a $200 biannual AC inspection can save you is a $15,000 replacement, which means they run really hard. So if you're not having the air conditioning unit tuned up at least once a year, but preferably twice a year, then if something starts happening, whether you're not changing your filters, maybe there's a capacitor issue, perhaps there's, a slow leak of refrigerant, something small, okay? Now the air conditioning unit is working twice as hard while also being hit by the sun all day long. And what could have been prevented by having 2 tune-ups a year is now a full replacement. So you have to think about both of these little things. If you're going to be selling your house in the future, start taking a look at how you take care of the house, because every little thing that you put off in hopes to not spend the money now will show up on the inspection report. And that only gives the buyer leverage to come back and say, well, we want $5,000, $7,000, we need $50,000 to replace the roof, whatever it is. You're simply giving the buyer ammunition to come back and take more money from you. So if you take care of all of your things up front, then your deferred maintenance doesn't really exist because you are staying on top of it, and the buyer has nothing to come back and say, well, we want more money. Well, no, you don't have any more money to get. Hopefully we are on the same page about carrying costs now, and you might be rolling your eyes saying, yes, I pay at least $4,000 a month or more on my big, expensive luxury house sitting in Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, or Arcadia, knowing that you have to pay that every month because the house isn't selling, or perhaps, again, just because you don't want it. Real estate is highly illiquid, and extracting your equity allows you to reallocate your capital to things that make more sense for you. Now, the savviest investors are not trying to sell at the peak of the market. Instead, they exit when the risk of holding outweighs the reward of selling. So if you are interested in what your true net proceeds would be, feel free to comment net sheet, and together we can walk you through what your net proceeds would be after you sell your house.